Hello everyone, welcome to another Minglewood Monday. I'm Miss Margie,
And Farmer Bill.
and today we're going to share with you one of our favorite subjects, sense of place, or the history of where you live. We're down here by Reverend Samuel Green Adams' cabin that was built in the 1860s. We'll share more of his history with you later in our video. But while you watch this video, we want you to think about who came to your area, when did they come, why did they come to that area? It's fascinating history to learn for all of us.
As the Indians left the area and after many Indian wars that were fought over this land, this was finally opened up as an area to settle, and some of the first inhabitants that came down were the Moravians and the Quakers. The Moravians, of course, settled in Old Salem, and they opened the Wachovia tract. The Quakers settled in New Garden, which is near Greensboro, and they expanded all throughout North Carolina. In fact, one of their settlements was Westfield. Westfield got its name from being a western field from New Garden, and that's how it was started. In 1780, during the Revolutionary War, these people that settled this area became involved in the Battle of Kings Mountain. They became part of the Overmountain Men, which went down and secured a victory from the British. After this battle, the British influence declined in the Carolinas, which led to their defeat in Yorktown, after which this area became open for settlement.
This is Samuel Green Adams. He was born in 1822 and he moved to Westfield in 1862. He was the first primitive Baptist preacher in Surry County. He moved here from Patrick County, Virginia. He built this 2-room dog trot cabin on what is now Minglewood Preserve. Reverend Adams raised 11 children in this cabin. Imagine this large family living in this cabin with no electricity, running water, or plumbing, hauling their water from the creek below, and burning firewood to keep warm. Reverend Adams built the first primitive Baptist church in the Westfield community, less than a mile away from the preserve. He's buried also nearby. We found this property marker on a hill just above Reverend Adams' cabin. This is an old road off of Minglewood that goes into our neighbor's property. It leads to what we have been told is an old herbalist's home site. You can find remnants of the past here, from old jars left around the house where it once stood, to the older fireplace that looks like it was here well before another home was built and 2 more chimneys were added. Another sign of the herbalist's home is a number of the plants that are left all around the site, like this old Carolina spice bush, which is known as a disinfectant and a treatment for failing eyesight. Another interesting story from our community is the story of African American slaves that were allowed to purchase land and settle in this area and begin their own farms. In the late 1800s, sons and daughters of slaves were allowed to acquire land and settle in the Chestnut Ridge community just a few miles west of Westfield. They purchased as much as 600 acres to as little as 25 acres for 50 cents an acre. Theirs, as the life of so many settlers, was a life of survival, first sleeping on the floor and keeping warm and cooking by their fireplaces. The families would often come together, just as the Quakers and others before them, to clear their fields and build their homes and barns. They were farmers of tobacco, corn, sweet potatoes, and other needed staples that they could plant. The community prospered and made advancements. A church was built and a school was established to serve as residents. Just a few of these farms still belong to the same families of the late 1800s. Another interesting story is about a farmer. His name was Abijah Pinson. He came to Westfield in the early 19th century, with him bringing some of the best apple tree stock yet to come to Virginia and the Carolinas. Pinson proceeded to start a large apple nursery from the stock. People came from all over to get Pinson's apple trees because of the fruit and the dependability. As settlers left the area and headed west to the Ohio Valley and further, they took these trees with them. So at one time, Pinson's nursery was in such great demand, the trees were spread throughout the foothills into the southeast and heading into the west of the United States, all the way from Westfield, North Carolina. At the end of Minglewood Road, you can find the old McKinney-Chilton home still standing. It has the date of February 26, 1884, in the northern chimney. Records show that there was a previous home on the site in the 1700s. These families farmed large tracts of tobacco. This is a great example of how houses were built in the 1800s. We had a great time researching and putting this together. We hope you will find time to explore the history of where you live. What are some of the stories of the past that gives your area a sense of place? Thank you for joining us this week and learning about the history around Minglewood and Westfield, North Carolina. We look forward to seeing you again next week for another Minglewood Monday.